Hey guys, this is a quick video to hopefully solve some of your problems with the autofocus system of the 7D. Now, I experienced a problem this weekend out of the blue where I noticed that in some of the shots where I was in the back of the church shooting the back of the bride for the ceremony, some of the shots were soft. And it wasn't like sharpening or noise or anything. I'm talking straight out of the camera coming in, raw, soft. And it wasn't every shot. It was just random. I'm shooting the exact same scene, focusing right on the back of the bride, and they're just different. And that hadn't happened before. I'm reading on the internet that some people are having luck with a hard reset. So I'm going to give it a shot on here. I actually did a test. I used the system right here, put it on a tripod, and I set up some lighting right here and mimicked the same settings. Did a whole bunch of test shots, focused at the same point, defocused it manually, let it autofocus, shot after shot after shot, and sure enough, same results. About 50% of them were off on the same point. So something is wrong, and it's not lens dependent either, because I tried it on the 70-200, which I noticed having the problem in the wedding, and I used my 24-70 for tonight's test. So something is wrong. And like I said, it just started out of the blue. So what is a hard reset? It's basically rebooting the camera. The camera is like a mini computer. You've got a motherboard and RAM inside of it. And taking out the main power batteries does not reboot it. There is a separate battery inside the battery compartment in the body itself that we have to pull out and then leave it sit for at least 30 minutes to fully drain of power. And that does as full a reboot as you can get. Now it is going to erase some of our custom settings, so what we need to do is write everything down, and that includes, don't forget any of your custom settings you may have set. I have all 3 of my custom settings filled, so I have to go through 4 times basically for my base set, which I use shooting in manual, and then all 3 of my customs, which are different. Custom 1 is a specific setting I use for a lot of my standard studio shots for doing product work, and 2 and 3 are both different video settings. One for nighttime when I do some of my standard blog reviews, and another for daytime, which are completely different settings. So the fastest way I can think of to do it, I am not looking forward to writing actually everything out, so I'm going to take a picture of each screen. And that way I can just have a record of it here on my phone, bada bing bada boom, and then we're going to get to actually pulling out the batteries and wiping the system. So I'm going to go ahead right now and take shots of every single screen in every single custom position and manual, and then we'll go from there. Also, if you are using the micro adjustment, you're going to have to put on each lens so that you can check the setting for how each one is adjusted. My 24-70, which is mounted now, is a +4, so I'm going to have to put on my 70-200 and my 10-22 and my 50 macro and all the other lenses that I've set lens adjustments for. Alright, now that I've gone through and documented all of my settings, including exposure settings, all menu settings, all custom settings, and my lens details, we can go ahead and remove the batteries. If you have a grip, you're going to have 1 or 2 batteries in here. Pull them out, and then we're going to take the grip off. If you don't have a grip, just pull your battery out, and now we go to the little battery inside. Now there's a little tray, it's right here, and you can see writing on it. It says CR1616 3V, and that's holding a little tiny watch battery. Same thing you'll find on a motherboard or other electronic devices that store information. And it simply lifts up. You want to be careful not to touch the battery, or if you do, at least wipe it off very well before you put it back in, because you don't want your finger oils to be on the contacts. Normally these are good for several years. And there you go. no big deal. So we are now just going to leave this sit for at least 30 minutes. And that is going to let all the power that's on the circuit board and in the capacitors dissipate naturally. After 30 minutes, we're just going to come back, pop it back in, put our grip back on, put our batteries back in, turn it on, and it should immediately ask for the time and date. And then we can go through and plug in all of our custom information and then retest. Hopefully that solves my problem, and hopefully if you're having the same types of issues, it'll solve yours. So I will be back and we'll do another test and see if it worked. Okay, I let it sit for an hour and I turned it back on, and I was immediately greeted with the set the date and time prompt, so I did that, and it kept all my settings. So hey, that's fine. I didn't really feel like putting them all in, but I did have a record anyway, and that's always good to have. It does vary by camera. I did look up while I was waiting to see what to expect, and looks like the 7D keeps the settings, so it's in a different type of RAM, but some older cameras definitely delete everything. So if you have the 7D, doing a hard reset does not alter any of your menu settings other than the date and time. But because I had to do that, I know that it actually did wipe the memory that I wanted to reset. There is a setting in here to clear all camera settings, and that will specifically wipe all the custom settings, but that's not what I'm after. These settings are fine. I just wanted to give it a hard reboot. So now I'm going to recreate the same lighting conditions I was having a problem in, which is fairly low light, and take some more test shots, and then pull them into Lightroom, zoom into 100%, and see if it's any better. Hopefully it is, because I really don't want to have to send my camera back to Canon. But it is a problem, and I do need to fix it, because I can't have random images be soft. Let's give it a shot. Well, good news. It at least worked in this case. What I have here are just a series of shots, and these are in low light. These are at ISO 2000, so it's the same settings I was using in the church that I was having a problem with, and this is the same test I ran before I did the hard reset. So I've just got a series of shots here. I readjusted the focus in between each one, so the autofocus system was hitting specifically for each one of these shots. I did it both ways, forward and back, and I've already rendered the 100% previews. They were set to a center focus point, and what I'm looking at here is specifically detail on this hinge. I can see the bumps and the paint and everything. It's very clear. And before, half of these shots, this would go blurry, and yet detail in the floor behind here was sharp, so I could see the depth of field change, or not the depth of field, well, I could see the focus shift in my floor grain here. So it was a real easy test. And now, zipping through these, I'm just going to use my cursors here, and you'll see a slight shift in the color balance. That's because I have fluorescent lights in the kitchen, so it's picking up the different frequencies. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all exactly the same, all in focus. So that is wonderful. I'm ecstatic to have finally a free fix. Oh, there's one more. 7. Yep, all the same. That hinge is absolutely perfect in each one. All identical. So there you go. If you are having random focus problems with your 7D, and this is, by the way, on the latest firmware 2.0, definitely update your firmware before you do anything, just to make sure. But I'm reading a lot of people having this problem, and I had seen some people say it fixed it, and I can verify it right now, and there you go. There's your evidence that it fixed mine. Cool. See you guys later.